I don't know why I was worried there wouldn't be any questions. You guys are so deep and so amazing and so funny. The first one is, what is your favorite prayer? My favorite prayer is, thank you. Meister Eckhart said, if all you ever pray is thank you, that is prayer enough. And Lamott says there are 3 prayers. One is thank you, one is help, and one is wow. What evidence is there that we have a soul? Soul is just a word, but it's a word people use as a shorthand for talking about that thing that feels like it's you and yet not you, you and yet connected to everything. It's that thing which, that part of you that feels at times alive and at times squashed, and sometimes I think we call it our spirit, and I know there's no evidence that there's an actual, like a physical soul, like a little blob of blackberry jello that's in there that goes on after your body dies. And there are people who say, no, the dead body weighs less than the life. I don't know. I don't understand that. It doesn't seem really like good science to me. So if you're talking about scientific evidence, I would say the only scientific evidence is anecdotal, in that so many people describe an experience of a part of themselves which feels eternal and which feels as if it's connected with, Jung's word was mana, that part of the universe that goes whoa, 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 whoa. And so it's just a way of talking about that, I think. And as far as whether it goes on after you die, nobody knows. The Buddha said when asked that, where do we go when we die? Or where does our soul go when we die? He said, where does the light go when it goes out? Simple answer. What is the hardest thing for you to do as a minister, and what is the easiest? I don't have many hard things anymore since I delegate them all. It used to be budgeting, but we have a wonderful minister for program support, and he does that with me, and so it's not hard. It used to be hard. It is hard for me to watch people get sick and not get better. It's very sad, and especially when it's a child. There are very, very sad parts of being a minister, but it's just sad. It's not really hard. And the easiest, I actually find it all easy because I love it so much. Okay. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? How can I stop feeling guilty that I am now an atheist when I was raised a devout Southern Baptist? I feel like one of those old ladies that goes, oh, my child. It's very hard. It's very hard when you have training when you were a child that goes all the way down into your bones. And you have so many voices of people who say they love you, and they do love you, telling you terrible things. Terrible things. Like, if you don't believe this, you'll go to hell, and hell is like this. And being a devout Southern Baptist, if it's anything like being a devout little Presbyterian kid, it feels wonderful. It feels so surrounded by love and correctness, and you can just talk to God and believe in lots of things. And then later on, when your faith starts, for me, it was like going bald. It was like my faith was just sitting there on the pillow in big chunks every morning when I woke up. There was something else missing. And I find that there is a more grieving than guilt from me, in that it felt so good to belong to such a staunch group and to have such certainty. It felt good, and now not to belong is painful. And you wonder in the secret midnight sometimes, what if they were right? And then you have to think it all the way through. All right, what if they were right? And their God is a God of love. That's what they teach. And somehow sending people to hell is loving in some kind of way. Don't understand that. But if I were a good parent, would I burn my child for making mistakes? No. If I did, they would send me to jail, and I don't even feel like doing it. So am I a better parent than God is? No. So it's pretty clear that hell is something people made up. And so I'd want to have a deep conversation with this person about what is the guilt and what does the guilt feel like and where do you think it comes from? And it's not a rational thing, so you can't address it rationally. Does that make sense? This person appreciates the silence in the service and wonders if it could be extended. It has already been extended, and we could think about extending it more. What actions are we taking to make you more diverse? Okay. Unitarian Universalism has been thinking about this and attempting this for years. It's a very, very complicated answer in that we don't want to just follow a certain group of people around in a kind of a creepy way saying, we want people of your particular hue in the pew. So that's not how you do it. Somebody said, we need more gay people in this church. I'm like, let's go stalk gay people and say, we're stalking gay people. You want to be in our church? Creepy. So what we need to do is, number one, go to where the people are that we would like to include. If we want... And so go to where the people are and make ourselves, all of us, whether we identify as people of color or we identify as gay or straight, all of us make ourselves a safe place for a diversity of people to be. So if we have a diversity of people, but we want them all to be the same way, like we do want a diversity of people, but this is what a lot of churches say. But we want them all to believe like us, and we want them all to like the same music we like, and we want them to have really good grammar, and we want them to have, we want them to kind of dress like us and be able to talk about their house on the golf course. So I don't care what color you are, what sexuality you are, as long as you got good grammar and good teeth and a house on the golf course. That's what a lot of churches do, and we certainly don't want to do that, because diversity is riches for us. Makes us healthy and wealthy and wise. And so we are trying our best to make ourselves a good place for a multicultural congregation to take root. We're not there yet. But we will keep on keeping on. I'm pointing to our mission. Is time travel a thing of the past? All right, I have several that are similar, so I'm going to paraphrase. How do you listen to people who aren't listening to you? How do you stay in a conversation where the content of the conversation is hard on you, destructive to you? How do you listen to people who see people like you as an enemy? We are a very tribal society now, people say, and we all have friends and family who believe very differently from us. Is this an interesting question for y'all? Yeah, okay. It is to me too. One technique is just to avoid the conversation. And I think that's a good answer if the content of the conversation has been continuously destructive to you. Then you just go, I'm resigning from this debating society. I'm resigning from this entire topic. I'll be back when we're talking about something different. You can do that. You're allowed to do that. The people who work hardest on this, like Van Jones, who has a series called The Messy Truth. He is a Democrat who worked for the Obama campaign, the Obama administration for 5 minutes, and his whole project is talking to people who adore the current administration and people who feel that our country needs stronger borders, stronger military, good military solutions. They don't really appreciate diplomacy. He wants to talk to people like that and listen to them. And he says it's hard. Even when he does it professionally, it's hard. I preached a sermon about how to talk to members of your family who are of a very different political stripe. And the advice that made a lot of sense to me was that if you're in a long-term relationship with somebody of a very different political stripe, what you do at first is listen, and then listen some more. And it's hard, because they're so wrong. Sorry, was that my outside voice? And try to be aware that your beliefs, strongly held beliefs that sound so clear to you, also sound like ridiculousness to them, like theirs sound like ridiculousness to you. And they said you have to use the techniques used by the FBI hostage negotiators. This was a revelation to me. So you just Google techniques used by the FBI hostage negotiators, and what it is you find some common ground. You find some personal ground. Do you want things to be better for your kids than they were for you? Do you like having clean water? Do you want to have a law enforcement structure which conducts itself according to the Constitution? And you find that common ground and then love that in them. You have to actually love that in them because they can feel it. That's what the hostage negotiator said. If you're not in a long-term relationship, though, it takes a lot of love to do that, I think. If you're in a short-term relationship, like you're just in a meeting with somebody or you just are behind them in the grocery store line, I think it's possible to say, I have a very different take on things than that. And tell them your take. It won't do any good, just by the way. But it might feel good to you. Or just ask a question. Not, what's wrong with you? But how come you believe that? How'd you come to that conclusion? And usually it's because all their facts come from a red fact machine and all your facts come from a blue fact machine. And since the Fairness Doctrine was voted down or extinguished in 1987 in the Reagan administration, nobody has to show both sides anymore. So Rush Limbaugh came on the air in 1988. And since then, it's been a race to the most polarized. So you just have to be aware that they don't know what you know, and you don't know what they know, what they feel like they know. FBI hostage negotiators. Google it. And a lot of times, if you're just at a birthday party and there's somebody you have to respect who's spouting ridiculousness, you can use one of my favorite phrases, which is, uh-huh. Please give your elevator speech on what Unitarian Universalism is. Okay. My elevator speech is, Unitarian means one God, and Universalist means no hell, so I go to the one God, no hell church. If you could make Trump follow a covenant, what would it say? Well, number one, that's one of those absurd questions like, how many angels could dance on the head of a pin? Because some people are what I call covenant capable, and other people are not covenant capable. And I, in my own personal belief, do not believe that he could do it. So it's a waste of my time thinking about it. What keeps you awake at night? I want to say, deep world problems, but really it's the fact that my cat brought a snake into the bedroom. And I thought it was dead, and so when I looked at it, it was just lying there. It was a little tiny, it's not a big deal, but so I got up and put the cat in the bathroom and shut the door and then went to get a washcloth to get the snake. And when I got back to where the snake had been, it wasn't there anymore. So it wasn't really dead. And so it's somewhere under the bed. Which would have kept me awake last night if I had not been so sleepy. So I hope it's having a happy life. Man, I'm sorry, I can't read that writing. What do you think happens to your spirit when you die? Don't know. A lot of people hope that they'll see other people that they love, and in fact, when people are dying, they do see people that they love. That's pretty common when you're in the hospital room with somebody who's really a couple days from dying. They start seeing amazing and wonderful things, and all their friends and family come to them. And I had a friend who had a dream that he was dying, and he said, and all my friends came to me when I was dying, and my friend Robert came, and he and I had always had these theological fights and political fights, and and he said, and Robert came to me, and we were running next to each other, and Robert said, you know what, you were right. And I started laughing, and he goes, and then he said, we were both right. I know. Don't know how to interpret that one, but. How can we better transition youth from high school to being young adults still engaged as you use? Well, we heard about that during the youth service, and here's one of the things. We don't know, because if we knew, we would be doing it. One of the things that youth love is they sit in a circle and they worship in a circle and they check in and speak personally about themselves. But when you have 200 people on a Sunday morning, you can't sit in a circle and everybody talk. And so our model for worship is pretty Protestant, and the youth aren't used to that. And so we could ask the youth to kind of sit in rows and just have a church service kind of like this. But why do that if you can do something that they love, which is sit in a circle and talk about yourself and your life and have a reading and a prayer and meditation? I don't know the answer, and I'm going to ask the woman who's coming in as our new Director of Faith Development. Lane and I have talked about it, of course, and so we will keep her. The new woman's name is Jules Jaramillo, and she's coming right after General Assembly, which is June 26th is when she's coming. Did you find the snake? That's a question, because I put it on Facebook. No, I did not find the snake yet. Again, picturing him having a happy life under the bed. I don't know what those little snakes eat, so. Am I a bad church member? How much more time do I have? Ooh, not much. If I don't join committees or attend classes, I donate money generously. You're a good church member. And enjoy the Sunday services. That's all I want to do, but I worry I'm harming the church. My dear one, so many of us are in different life stages. And we feel a call on our spirit to, there's that word again, we feel a call on our spirit to do certain things. Some people love going to classes, and some people love helping to do the work of the church on a team, a committee team. And some people like that for a little while, and they don't like it after that for a little while. And some people love teaching the kids, and then they don't like it after a while. And some people love coming to worship, and some people don't. Some people just sit in house and hall and have coffee and talk to the people who are in there, and maybe listen to the sermon, I hope. And looking at the camera where I think they're looking. This church is a community, and a community is not homogeneous. A good community is not. And a good community breathes in people and breathes out people. And a good community has people who are at all different kinds of stages and talents and skills. And what the church asks is that you be generous within your means, with your money. So you can hold your head up, even if you donate a little, if you're being generous within your means. And I know that's easy to say and hard to feel. And you can hold your head up if you just come to services and donate. Whoever you are, darling, we're glad you're here. And no one belongs here more than you. Amid such hatred and violence, how do we refrain from hatred? Constant practice. We stand on the side of love. Sometimes love involves challenge and resistance. Well, we try not to hate because it doesn't hurt the person we hate, it hurts us. Thank you so much for all your questions. I'll continue to talk about these in future sermons because they are so evocative and they all deserve a whole sermon.